Now this Thomas Golf AT705 hybrid driver, it's an interesting golf club. You won't have seen this in every pro shop, but when we look down at the golf club, we can start to notice a couple of unique features. Firstly, it appears to look like a hybrid club. It's the traditional sort of hybrid shape. But then we notice it's actually got the flat top with the patented Thomas Golf alignment line technology. Now Thomas Golf redesigned the hybrid golf club when they flattened out the top and drew on that perfectly straight line. The principle behind that was most often when we look at a hybrid club or even a driver, there are no straight square edges to help us line up. And Thomas Golf acknowledged that if we could draw an alignment line on the top of a club, very similar to how we do with a putter, this now points my way home, it points to target. So as I set up to this hybrid driver, I have a nice big driver head, a relatively long shaft, not quite as long as a full driver length, which gives a feeling of a bit more control. It looks like a hybrid, so it fills me with a bit of confidence, but it actually has a much bigger and deeper face than a hybrid club. It's also got 10.5 degrees of loft, so a lot less loft than a standard hybrid. We play this on a nice smallish T-peg, so the ball sits about half the ball above the top of the club. We're going to get some really good performance out of this. It's going to give you the control of the hybrid, the length of the driver, smash those two bits together, we're going to have some really good control tee shots. You don't just have to take my word for it. What I'd like to do is get this golf club in the hands of a real world 18 handicap golfer. Now I've played golf with a few times with Tom, and it's fair to say the driver is not your best friend.
No, I freely admit that I'll probably hit 1 or 2 drivers in a round and they're very inconsistent. So generally off the tee I'll go for a 4-wood just because I feel I can hit that more in the fairway more often than not.
So you actually move away from the driver because you've got less confidence with it?
I'm scared of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does that confidence sort of lack when you're setting up to the ball as well?
Yes, yeah. The thing I don't like about my driver is it's too big and too long.
Okay. So it feels very different from the rest of the 4-woods, the rest of the irons that you have?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's set you up with this one.
Yeah.
So it's the AT705 hybrid driver. What are your initial thoughts when you actually set up to the ball there, Tom?
I'm a fan because it's not quite as long as my driver. It feels more like the 4-wood, which I'm comfortable with. It's got that alignment line there, which immediately gets you feeling like I'm lined up. And sometimes I find when you're teeing up towards the front of your stance, I kind of lose the sense of where it should be pointing. But here, that feels much better. So okay. Yeah, it's a positive start. Let's see how it feels.
Great stuff. Well, what I've done is I've teed 3 shots up for you here, Tom. If you slide the first club in at the back of the ball, you'll see the alignment line points the way home towards the target right there. And the middle of the golf ball, the equator of the golf ball, is level to the top of the club. So that should give you a nice idea of how you can sweep the ball up into the sky. So let's go ahead and hit 3 or 4 shots down there for us and see how these work. Yeah, that's a nice one. That's certainly got a really good crack off the club face, didn't it? We've got a really nice sound off the face. Let's go ahead and hit another one down there. And interestingly, that one's come a little bit lower on the club face, but still quite a good result. You know, that's flying down there, a good yardage down there. You'd be happy with that. And again, probably a little bit down on the heel side of the golf club, which is often the inconsistencies that we'd see from club golfers. But actually 3 shots down there. First one was a little bit right side of the fairway, the last 2 pretty much down the middle of the fairway, carrying at least 200 yards, which is decent yardage over and above what you would be getting from your 4, and quite a lower ball flight there, so actually running out there a decent distance. So 10.5 degrees of loft on the club face there, so it's going to give you that sort of mixture of a little bit more penetration than the 4-wood, and actually a little bit of rolling down the fairway, but still nice and easy to get the ball up in the air, because as the same as a normal hybrid club, what we have in the 705 is lots of weight low and deep and underneath the ball. What were your thoughts on how that felt off the face?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I didn't make perfect contact with them. That's the inconsistency in my swing. But the club had kind of adapted, so the second 2 shots there I would have been absolutely delighted. The first one I need to work on. There's a few swing flaws that have got into there, but those second 2 shots, I'd be really pleased with those end results. Oh,
great stuff. Well, I'm pleased you enjoyed hitting that 705. I think what we'd do for Tom is we'd probably get a nice custom fit going. We'd maybe look at the shaft options in there, probably stiffen the shaft up a little bit for Tom because of his swing speed. He swings it quite quickly. So they're all the options that you can actually have with the Thomas Golf range. You go online to their store, thomasgolf.com, you fill out a little chart there, a little fitting process about your swing, your game, your handicap, your ability, and they'll actually recommend things like grip thickness, shaft flex, shaft length, and loft options. So you can actually feel like you get a fully custom fit driver that would really fit into your bag seamlessly, and hopefully see you hitting driver a little bit more regularly on the golf course. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds great to me, yeah.
Fantastic, well done. So I'm really pleased with the feedback that Tom gave in terms of when he'd hit this 705 AT Thomas Golf hybrid driver. What we really noticed about that is he picked out some of the key features where he struggles with his normal driver and where he benefited from the 705 range. Noticing the length of the shaft slightly shorter, the big profile head, but it wasn't too cumbersome. It had got the nice alignment line on top, and the weight was low and deep, so it gave nice big sweet spots, so when you hit slight off-centre shots, they actually still worked and flew down onto the fairway. And it was nice chatting to Tom that I think he's probably going to put this club in his bag and utilise it more often than he does his driver. He mentioned he only hits driver a couple of times around because he can't control it. And a lot of golfers, they keep using their driver even though they can't control it. So a driver like this that's more controllable, easier to hit, lands on more fairways, this could be a good addition to a lot of people's golf bags.